Let me start a screen share.
Okay, sounds good. So for today's call, Della and Mark are going to share with us some tips and tricks that they've learned about starting conversations with people and being a good active listener. So I'm excited to learn from them.
Right, thanks, Drew. Can you see our screen yet?
Yes.
Perfect. Tamara, she can't be able to speak at the moment, but we'll just start. So this is on active listening or reflective listening. The source is from our experience, from our reading, and from a recent course we were on.
So we're Della and Mark Boothby, and we've been with the Juice Plus company now for 1.5 years, and we love it. It has helped us both health-wise, energy-wise, and I think it's changed our outlook.
I can say for sure it's changed our outlook. We're far more positive. We take responsibility for our own actions. It's been an amazing experience. I'm sure you're all finding the same thing. We'd like to start off by saying thanks to a couple of people. We always say thanks to Drew and to Tamara. Aww. But also we'd like to say thanks to a sideline buddy that lives here in town. I don't normally call her Bunny, but that's Diane Finley. If you don't have a sideline buddy, it's just the greatest thing going. They're wonderful for setting up events with, and also for talking to you on those days that aren't going exactly 100% your way. Highly recommended. Diane got us set up on this course that we took with Trina Johnson. She's a senior sales coordinator, I believe, in Northern BC. And she took us through a Journey to NMD course, which we found really valuable. It was quite a challenge for us, I must admit. We'll tell you a little bit more about that as we go through. So to begin with, I don't think so. Oh, there it is. I did. Why bother with active listening? Well, active listening, we believe, is the core to developing relationships with people. And our businesses are certainly based upon relationships with people. We all have a warm market, but what happens when you've spoken to all of them? What happens next depends upon you and your communication skills.
Do you truly listen to people? Do you think about the next thing to say during a conversation?
Do you often interrupt a conversation? Or do you interject your life into the conversation? If you've asked yourself those 4 questions and you've answered yes to any one of them, pay to our conversation, because you're probably not engaging in active or reflective listening. As I've said, our businesses all depend upon building relationships. Our goal is not to sell, but understand what a friend needs.
So the trick is to be more interested in the person than in yourself when you're listening to them.
One of the skills we've got to develop is reflective listening. To acknowledge what people say. One of the ways you do that is repeat what you've understood them to say, in your own words, of course. Otherwise, it becomes kind of a boring conversation.
Did I understand what you just said? You want me to listen to what you're saying and then repeat it back to you?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Thank you. We encourage people to be truly interested in the people they're talking to. Be authentic, be engaging.
Don't tell people what they should be doing.
People don't often react well to that. What we encourage people to do is to understand what their difficulties are, listen to them, and once you've developed a sound relationship, you can offer a couple of alternatives that have worked for you.
But thou shalt not should is what my friend Ann always says. And that to me means we shouldn't be telling people what they should do. Listen to what they have to say and go from that point. You know, you can always come up with great suggestions.
As with everything in life, it's practice, practice, practice.
Talk to the cashiers, waiters, people in line. It's so fun to just say, oh, isn't it beautiful weather out today? If they respond, you can start up a conversation.
Carol Renault is the person that we got a lot of this source material from. Just to give you some of the idea of the importance that she puts on active listening, she recommends, oh, by the way, she is an NMD and she has been for years. She recommends to her new distributors to go out and talk to 100 people a week, which is far, far, far more than I ever talked to. She used to send her new distributors out to airports to talk to people.
Go ahead.
She gave them directions. Don't talk about Juice Plus. Just get to know the person. Sometime, perhaps in that communication, more than likely in the next one, your health or work might come up. That's your opportunity to talk about Juice Plus. But in that beginning practice phase, it's not about Juice Plus. It's about getting to know the person. Like I say, first build the relationship, then bring up the products or the business. She really stressed, don't have an ulterior motive or agenda. Your motive is just to go out and talk to people. Karina gave us an assignment during the course, and one of those things was to just go into businesses, local businesses, ask to talk to the local to the business owner, introduce yourself as being on a leadership course, then you wanted to interview local successful businesses. And that's people you don't know. So it takes quite a bit to go into a business and introduce yourself and ask for 10 minutes of their time. Not to be offended if they don't have the time, and to sit down and ask them questions about what was successful in their business, what they enjoy, what goes well, what didn't go well. Pretty much anything that comes to mind. It really gets you out of your shell, that's for sure. I should mention that we'll likely go through this in 8 or 10 minutes, and we'll have an opportunity for some questions and answers later. One thing that both of us suffered from early on was a lack of confidence. Pretty much everybody does, I believe, but in our case, I think it resulted in a lack of confidence in ourselves, perhaps a little bit in the product, perhaps a little bit in the business. But certainly over the last year and a half, we've seen amazing health results from the product. We've met and enjoy the company of some fabulous people. So we can now say with 100% certainty that we can recommend both the product and the business to anybody that we run across. Approach, where in the past we might have been a little bit more reflective, a little bit more slow at recommending Juice Plus. Not the case anymore. We believe it can change people's lives, so we're happy to tell people about it. We all have stories that prove that it can, so our feeling is, why not be confident about it?
Small changes over time make a big difference. So it's like that adding water to your day. Just go out and talk to people. But when you're talking to them, focus on them. Make that your first big change.
One of the things that I really took from the course is, as an entrepreneur, we have to be 100% responsible for our choice. Understanding I'm sitting beside my wife at the moment, so I can't say a whole lot. But it's sometimes easy to say, well, it's somebody else's fault. But we shouldn't be in that train of thought. We have to be responsible for 100% of our business. If something doesn't go well, it's not a bad thing. It's simply an opportunity to learn from, to improve on. We have gathered some examples of how to start a conversation. Probably the best starting point is start with a honest, toothy smile. If you don't show people your teeth, they tend to think it's a smirk, and you probably don't get off on the right foot.
Yeah, use those pearly whites.
If you're standing in line talking to somebody next in line to you, make a simple comment. How's the weather? This line's long, whatever. Make it something positive. Don't make it something negative.
Go ahead.
Then ask a question. Della had a great example yesterday.
So yesterday I was out at Cross Iron Mall, and I walked the whole mall, and I was dying. And I sat on a bench with an elderly man, and I just said, "Oh, my feet, I'm sorry, my feet said I have to sit down." He said, "Mine too." I said, "This mall is huge. I've never walked the whole thing before." And he said, "It's my second time around." So we just sat there and had a chat, but that was it. We started talking about feet. So yeah, just start it with anything. First thing that comes to your mind.
It's about all it takes, and then all of a sudden you're in a conversation. One thing that Carol does is she compliments people. Her example was if she sees somebody that's well-dressed and looks great, she says that to them. If you're a man, you probably have to be a little more careful, but you should probably speak your mind. If you say it with a smile, it probably goes over in the right way. Oops, I clicked off the screen, sorry. Once you've gone through that practice session, and again, it takes a while. Once you've gone through that practice session and you feel confident, remember to find out who people are, what they do, and how it's working. That's something that Carol really focuses on, those three areas. She tells us quite a bit, don't problem solve, find out what they have to say and how they feel. Don't recommend solutions to them, listen to them. Use a mirroring technique that we've already talked about to keep them talking. One thing that I've learned over the years is silence is sometimes a good thing. You don't have to fill every moment with conversation. Sometimes if you take a minute to compose yourself, most people don't like silence and they'll jump in with something. It's kind of a little tip for keeping a conversation going. I'm looking at Della on this one because this is something that both her and I struggle with, is that final, get a contact number. We often forget it.
Yeah.
And it's something we really have to work on. And this is an example that we find works best, is here's my number in case you have questions, and you give them your number. Well, it's yours, so I can text you with more information. And we have our cards printed up, of course, that have our contact information. So we just hand that to them. If they provide a number, we either write it in a logbook or write it on a card, or better yet, put it in your phone directly. And then get back to them with more information. Carol really recommends, this, a bit repetitive here, but what do you do? How's that going? And the third one is, what are you doing to change things where it's appropriate? So if you're in a line with somebody and you ask, so where do you work? Well, I work for the supermarket. How's that going? Well, I don't really like it. What are you doing to change things? So you're getting their side of the things, and you're not, before you're recommending Juice Plus or whatever business opportunity you have to offer. When people do express an interest, like that person in the previous example, Carol uses and these are her words exactly, I have my own business that's growing and we're putting together a team. She stresses, give somebody an out. And she says, it's not for everyone, but if you're open, let's talk. What do you think? So she gives a person lots of opportunities to back out. That's her approach. It apparently works for her very well. Person will always ask, so what type of business are we talking about? Her answer again is, my company is a marketing arm of the Juice Plus Corporation. And tell them your story in 3 short sentences. Keep it quick is her recommendation. Carol and I we've had a different experience than Carol, I should say here. She recommends sending them to one of our websites before you meet. I guess my only caution is just don't send them to the internet, because the internet contains a lot of positive information, but also a lot of negative information. So send them to one of Juice Plus's websites that we have our names on. It's got great information about Juice Plus. Certainly, it's all very professional. Send them there. I think that's a great idea. During your conversation, you've probably already heard if they have any interests, if they have a health concern, or if they're interested in a business opportunity. So before you meet with them, do some homework. Make sure you have videos that meet their interests. Go ahead.
Invite them for coffee or spring for lunch for them. People love to go for lunch. If they know you're buying them lunch, they'll come and listen to you.
And after your conversation, make sure you leave them excited. We're excited about our business. Tell them about the great experience of going on conference or going on meetings or jumping on Zoom every once in a while and talking to folks. We can have a lot of fun doing this, and we should pass that kind of information on. You're going to get a bunch of, we've all done this. We've all said, I don't want to be pushy. I don't know enough, and I'm not a salesperson. Carol has some great responses to that, and I'll provide you with the link to her 20-minute YouTube video a bit later on. During our course, we had to listen to her 5 times a week, and we still listen to her probably every week because it's full of great information, and every time you listen to it, you catch something new.
Yeah.
Go ahead, dear.
Dream. Yeah, dream. Write those dreams down as your goals. If you don't write them down, you'll lose them and you don't focus. So
if I can just, if you don't write a goal down, you're 7 times more likely to achieve a goal if you've written it down. So
be in business on purpose. Build your life on purpose and live the life you desire. Do it your way and control your own destiny. Commit to learning and growing. Your business will not grow by accident, only on purpose.
You know, I have to share. Oh, sorry. I have to share something here. I used to be deputy chief in emergency services. It was a great, very satisfying job. We helped, hundreds of thousands of people over the years. But I can honestly say that I get more satisfaction out of this than I do of that, because we can actually help people improve their health before they get in really serious situations. And the business of being in Juice Plus is really wonderful. You run into so many very positive people. You all know that. I don't really need to repeat it. So this is the page I promised that talks about Carol Renault's YouTube video. There's also some other books and high among them is a book called Go for the No, and its subtitle is Yes is the Destination, Knows How to Get There, by Andrea Wolf and Richard Fenton. What they suggest to us is that you set a goal of, I want to hear 20 no's per day. It's kind of a different way of thinking. Normally it's, for us, it would be, I want to talk to 5 people a day. And when you talk to 5 people and you heard no a couple times and yes maybe once, you probably gave up for the day. But if you set a goal of, I want to hear 20 no's for the day, you'll probably hear a couple of yeses and 20 no's. But you'll talk to way more people, and it's a numbers game. It's about talking to people. So I thought it was a fantastic book. On our reading list, we haven't gotten to it yet, is a couple of books by Mary Christensen. They're titled Be a Direct Selling Superstar and Be a Network Marketing Superstar. We always recommend stuff by Eric Worre, of course. We like Jessica and Ray Higdon because we listen to them a lot, on probably an hour a week. And on days when we're feeling down, listening to Ray Higdon is kind of funny. So it brings us up. And the final recommendation is The Compound Effect. It's a book we recommended in the course that's made a couple of lasting changes in me.
Yeah, it makes you dig into your inner self. Absolutely.
So, Drew, we kind of blazed through that. I hope it was useful to you. Are there any questions?
I thought it was absolutely excellent. That was, you guys did an awesome job. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm going to stop the recording now.